Giridvaradhari Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Giridvaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Giridvaradhari Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Giridvaradhari Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajachanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Patita Pavana Gauranitai. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Patita Pavana Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. We're reading from Canto Śrimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 11, entitled Calculation of Time from the Atom. And we're reading text 5. Anurdvau paramanu syat trasaranustraya smitaha jalarka rasmyavagataha kamivānupatanagat. Anurdvau paramanu syat trasaranustraya smitaha jalarka rasmyavagata kamivānupatanagat. Anurdvau paramanu syat trasarenustraya smitaha jalarka rasmyavagata kamivānupatanagat. Manusyat trasarenustraya smitaha jalarka rasmyavagata kamivānupatanagat. It is Anurdvau paramanu syat trasarenustraya smitaha jalarka rasmyavagata kamivānupatanagat. Anurdvau paramanu syat trasarenustraya smitaha jalarka rasmyavagata kamivānupatanagat. Anu, double atom. Dvau, two. Parama anu, atoms. Syat, become. Trasarenahu, hexatom. Trayaha, three. Smritaha, considered. Jala arka, of sunshine through the holes of a window screen. Rashmi, by the rays. Avagataha, can be known. Kameva, towards the sky. Anupatan agat, going up. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The divisions of gross time is calculated as follows. 2 atoms make 1 double atom, and 3 double atoms make 1 hexatom. This hexatom is visible in the sunshine which enters through the holes of a window screen. One can clearly see that the hexatom goes up towards the sky. Please respond. The divisions of gross time is calculated as follows. 2 atoms make 1 double atom, and 3 double atoms make 1 hexatom. This hexatom is visible in the sunshine which enters through the holes of a window screen. One can clearly see that the hexatom goes up towards the sky. Purport. The atom is described as an invisible particle, but when 6 such atoms combine together, they are called a trasarenu, and this is visible in the sunshine pouring through the holes of a window screen. Om Jnana Timirandasya Kananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadanmayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Purijina Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Ladita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dino Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhinevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutta Vishmate Kadambhagana Swami Namane. So it's a great privilege and honor to be asked to be sitting here and speaking in front of so many exalted Vaishnavas. I'm humbly seeking all your blessings. The only reason I'm here is for my own purification. And I have a feeling that's definitely going to happen today. But particularly, Janani Vasprabhu is here, and I very much seek his blessings. He's a model devotee. Just reading this purport now, I'm reminded Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, before he starts his commentary in the 10th canto, he says, I'm like a man trying to sell jewels who knows nothing about jewels. But at least I might make the Vaishnavas laugh. And if I can cause them pleasure, then this is my great privilege. So I feel, of course, he is one of the most exalted acharyas, But in my own way, I feel similar, that I'm supposed to speak on matters of time, and I know absolutely nothing about this. But I'll try and repeat what I've heard from Srila Prabhupada. I can pray that this, whatever I say, may be in line with Shastra, and that I may be the first listener. So, Hare Krishna. So here we're getting somewhat into the realm of physics, the relativity and absolute nature of time. But it's interesting because it makes you think a little bit deeper. We all just accept time, because you're born in a world where time is always there. And so there's a time for this and a time for that. And your time slowly starts to fade away from you. We hear so much. Yesterday, Dayananda Maharaj, he spoke so nicely about the differences when you begin to grow old and you realize this time that you've used or not used correctly. And he repeatedly quoted this verse, Ayo Harati Vaipum San. As the sun is rising in the setting, it's diminishing the time of every living entity. And so it's interesting to actually just think conceptually about time, that we're bound by this force which is inexplicably pushing everything upon. We want to have more opportunity to be with a person, but the time is pulling us apart. So many things we want to do and time is not allowing us, and we accept it for granted. This material world is a place where we become victimized. To become victimized means to be in a horrendous situation and somehow accept it as ordinary. Someone, they may be in an abusive relationship, and anyone from the outside, they can see this relationship is not healthy, you should leave. But because they're so much caught up in that relationship, they can't bring themselves, they can't see themselves as separate from that. And therefore they get caught up in so much suffering. And the nature of all of us, myself, conditioned entities, that we accept the suffering of this world and don't do anything to change it, which is actually somewhat of a crazy scenario. And therefore Bhāgavatam is actually pointing out to us the entire system, saying, look at this time. Look how it's taking away every single aspect of your life. It's not something ideal. You want to aspire for getting beyond time. Because even if we start to objectively look at time, because I was reading a couple of verses going on, it talks about the calculation of how you actually measure time. Here we hear about the hex atom, and as the sun moves, when the sun moves across the hex atom, this is one particular smallest unit of time, and from there you build it up, all the way up into the day of Lord Brahma. That's the maximum unit of time. And Bhagavatam is very clear, but it's a quick question. Does anyone know when they decided how long 1 second actually is? Like officially, when they decided how long 1 second is. Because everybody, our entire day, our entire life is governed by seconds and minutes and hours. You've got to be here at this time, the train comes at exactly this time, your work finishes exactly this time, you have to be here. We're governed by this time. But does anyone know? I only found out yesterday because I did some research. I think it was 1967. Before, they just had a theoretical understanding a second is roughly this amount of time. But then a group of scientists got together and they actually established, very, very precise, using atomic clocks. This is exactly how long 1 second is. And same with 1 kilogram. They have somewhere they've got stored the kilogram, which is what a kilogram is, and everything therefore is based off of that. So you see, it's actually someone's just invented the system. We're so much governed by it. The fact that there's 60 minutes in an hour. Someone's decided that. They had the Babylonian, again, I was doing some research, the Babylonian mathematicians, they had a number system based upon 60, therefore they divided the hour into 60 minutes. And so we sort of accept it, and our whole world gets governed by this system. And we never think beyond it. But the whole process of spiritual life is actually rising above all this conceptual identity which gets placed upon us. Because the entire situation is ridiculous. I always like the story of the frog. I always tell this one. You want to boil a frog, you don't put him into boiling water because he'll jump out straight away. You put him into nice room temperature water, he feels very comfy, then you turn on the heat and slowly he starts to boil. And so he gets put into this situation where actually he's completely uncomfortable, but he doesn't realize it. And so similarly, we have to realize that we do not belong here. Everything about this world is incompatible. It's a very uncomfortable situation to be in. But then for a devotee, Srila Rupa Goswami, he describes very nicely that the devotee is like a makara. Sometimes a makara is translated as a shark, but this is an understatement. Sharks are cool, but sharks have nothing on a makara. Krishna has makara-shaped earrings, and same, I think, Mother Ganges, she rides on a makara. And I heard one devotee explaining, you're showing some fossils, or some skeletons of, in the sea they had these huge creatures that makes blue whales look small. And the makara, there is one that fits descriptions, it's a megadon. This huge shark. He swims very, very deep in the ocean. And so Rupa Goswami, he compares, he says, Bhakta Makara, that the Vaishnavas, the devotees, they're like Makaras. Why? Well, for 3 reasons. He says these Makaras, they've got no attachment to the rivers. If you're used to swimming in the sea, the deep ocean, a little river is not going to satisfy you. And he says, same for the devotees who are swimming in Bhakti Ras, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The devotees are swimming in the nectarian ocean of devotional service, the pleasure experience from devotional service to Krishna. Then the idea of impersonal liberation, it holds nothing. And so just as the river means nothing for this makara, the same impersonal liberation means nothing for a Vaishnava. It's not attractive because they're experiencing something so much greater. But not just that. Because the makara, he swims very, very deep in the ocean. Therefore the nets, no fisherman can catch him. The fisherman will place his nets into the sea and try and catch fish. Those who are floating on the surface of the ocean, he'll be able to catch. But these makara, no chance he will catch. And the same Rupa Goswami is saying that the devotee is like the makara, swimming deep in this ocean of bhakti ras. He cannot be caught by the nets of time. Time has no impact on the Vaishnava. It's described in the 6th canto when the Yamadutas have gone to arrest Ajamil and they come face to face with 4 shining effulgent personalities of Vishnudutas, and they get a little bit of this reorientation of their way of thinking. They realize, okay, there's someone more powerful than Yamaraj, and they're very confused. So they go to Yamaraj seeking clarity, and Yamaraj tells them, yes, never go to my devotees who are chanting my names. They're not within your jurisdiction. And so this is very beneficial and optimistic to see. But we can ask the question, we look around and we ourselves are practicing devotional service, but it feels like we're still under the influence of time. We can look at exalted Vaishnavas, even when we look at Srila Prabhupada, without doubt, completely pure devotee, internally in a relationship with Krishna. But still, it seems like he's going through this jurisdiction of time. Prabhupada's saying, I don't have enough time. How am I going to translate all these books? Prabhupada, his health was deteriorating. It seems at one point he had to leave the world. He said his mission is not yet complete, but I've got to leave. So it seems like time is still having some dictation upon him. So we can question, it's like, Yamaraj, Rupa Goswami, great people we trust. They're saying that the Vaishnava is not under the jurisdiction of time, but it seems from our experience that time still has some impact. And so we can question, what does it mean not to be under the jurisdiction of time? And I was thinking, the nature of material time is that whatever you have, Krishna says, I am inexhaustible time. He's subduer of time. Time which is eating away at everything. Anything you create. It's true, you buy something new, you get a warranty. You thought, I've got a 10-year warranty. That's nice. No, that means 10 years until it breaks. Anything, it's got some limited, even the nicest building, time will erode it. Without fail. In Cambridge, actually, I'm not sure the devotees from Cambridge have seen, there is this chronomanger, something like this. Is that what it's called? I remember being there. It's a big clock. You sort of walking by, it's very obvious. And I remember seeing it. I went there to Cambridge a long time ago, and I got some nightmares of it. You have this big clock, and instead of the hands ticking round like this, there is this, it's like a locust, big insect-like creature who's sort of just munching away as the time is going through. This chronomanger literally means the eater of time. And it gives you this impression is you can feel the time just slipping away. Because everything you're doing materially, it has no substance. And ultimately we can feel that. And this is why many of us come to devotional life, because we feel that what we're doing has no substance. It's got no traction. Prabhupada would often talk about, where is Napoleon? Where is this great empire, the Roman Empire? All these great empires all disappeared because everything they did had no substance. Because the only thing which has substance is devotional service. Famously, Krishna says in the Gita, Nehabikrin vinashyosti pratyuvayana vidyate swalpamapyas dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution. And he's meaning that, therefore, in every other endeavor, there is loss and diminution. Because everything else we do, if it's relating to the body, it's temporary. It's relating to the mind, it's temporary. It's relating to our prestige, it's temporary. And even we can say, reaching the point of liberation, Prabhupada and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, they're both very, very fond of this verse. Aruharakritchena parampadam tata patantido, something like this. The rest of it disappears from me. But one can reach the topmost levels of self-realization, but if they don't develop attraction for Krishna's lotus feet, then again they will fall down because their intelligence is still not pure. So even this is lacking substance. The only thing with real substance is devotional service to Krishna. So although the body of a Vaishnav may appear to be under the jurisdiction of time, time has a different impact. Time is used for them to engage in devotional service. And there's many different limbs of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasya, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. But in this age, we understand that everything must be done in harmony with the chanting of the holy names. This is where the substance really is. And so therefore, by this chanting of the holy names of Krishna, we can actually experience this timelessness. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he describes that when we chant, we should be in the eternal present. One devotee explained to me, it's like It's like we think that we sit down and we start chanting, maybe 2 hours, an hour and 45 minutes, and then the conch shell blows, we stop chanting, we get on with the day. This is again, it's a conception of chanting based upon material realization. But when one actually chants, when one actually experiences that, tunde tundavali ratim vitanate, tundavali labdaye, that when I dance, then Krishna, he's on my tongue. Karna kroda kadambini vidanate, that when the holy name of Krishna, these syllables enter within my ear, I desire millions of ears. When Krishna, he is present in my heart, then all the senses have become inert. When one experiences that, then it's not that they sit down, they start chanting, and then they stop chanting. No. It's like they enter into a river. The river is always flowing. And for some time, they are submerged in that river. This mantra, the Maha Mantra is not within the jurisdiction of time. And therefore we understand. Well, I was thinking a couple of things actually. The Shikshastakam is giving many, many beautiful descriptions and glorifications of Sri Harinam. Smaranam niyatam smarane nakala says in the second verse of Shikshastakam that for chanting any other mantra, for doing any other yagya, for doing charity or giving in penance, anything, time is very, very important. But for chanting the holy names of the Lord, niyatam smarane nakala, time loses its power. Because the holy name of Krishna, it completely transcends you beyond all these jurisdictions of time. Any sort of karma kanda ritual, it's very, very imperative that you choose the right date to do it. If you're going to give in charity to someone, you have to make sure it's Akshay Tritiya, some very auspicious day, Dwadashi. All these things are very, very pertinent, but for the chanting, there's no impediment. But then more than that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes on to explain, Trunadapi Sunuchena, Tororapi Sahishtana, Amanida Manadena, Kirtanya Sada Hari. That the symptoms of one actually gets a taste for chanting the holy names of the Lord because his heart is melting with humility. And Krishna manifests. Then Kirtanya Sadahari, that he cannot stop chanting. Because once you get a taste for that being in the eternal present with Krishna, I guess it's something which must be experienced. If I try and describe it, it would be like Dr. Frog trying to conceive of the Atlantic Ocean. But if you get a taste for what it's like to be with Krishna, then why would you want to leave that to engage again in this world where we're governed and dictated in so many ways by the dictates of time? And then Lord Chaitanya, he continues that Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, that all these worldly things which we can strive after, wealth and followers and women and attraction, all these things, again, if one is actually experiencing this substance, bhavatad bhakti rahaita kitoi, causeless devotional service to Krishna, then all these other things, they have no attraction. But if we're still under the influence of time, if we're always thinking, okay, in the future when I get this, or when this is here, then somehow I can enjoy. And so time is actually, our relationship with time is a great symptom of our spiritual advancement. Because one should see that time is Krishna. Prabhupada would give the example of the kitten. The kitten is in the mouth of its mother and feels completely safe. The mother picks up the kitten by the neck here and he's lying there completely limp, and he's completely safe. But in that same jaws, a mouse is kept. And it's described actually, oftentimes the mice, they do not die from the teeth of the cat. The cat goes to get the mice, he holds it in his mouth, and the mouse is so scared, he just dies. He's terrified. Governed by these dictates of fear caused by time, but for a Vaishnav, nothing is there. And that's why, as Lord Chaitanya continues in the Shikshastakam, suddenly time takes on a different dimension. No longer is time this force which is binding us and our source of constant fear, but time still causes anxiety, but transcendental anxiety, because he's praying, when will that day be mine, when I'll actually get to experience this. What's the 6th verse, Shikshastakam? It's gone from my head. No, 6th verse. Nayanam gladashudaraya varanam gadgadarudaya gira pulakacham nichitu gada tavanamagrahane bhavishyati. That and this is described, this is a very exalted prayer. We can roughly correlate these different verses of Shikshastakam with the different stages from Shraddha to Prem. I think Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some detailed commentary on this. And by the time we're getting to the 6th verse of Shikshastakam, it's actually very exalted. This is beyond the stage of Anartha Nivritti. This is reaching the stage of Ruchi, the stage of Bhav. And he's saying, when will that day be mine? This intense anxiety. But it's not anxiety of... See, the anxiety of time in the material world is, I want to enjoy, and time is taking away all my ability to enjoy. But for one who's on this level of Krishna consciousness, then they're desperate to see Krishna. And this desperation is what's driving their whole devotional service. And time, therefore, is the means which is going to get them there. It's interesting because we understand from Srila Rupa Goswami that Utsahan Nishtayad Deryat, that in this process of Krishna consciousness, certain things are required. Enthusiasm, patience is another one. Patience is very, very important if we want to actually be successful in our execution of Krishna consciousness. And patience means to understand that you actually have to have faith in Krishna. You have to have faith that this process works. If you're standing at a bus stop waiting for a bus, but that bus stop's no longer working, you can be patient for a whole day, but it's a useless waste of patience. The buses don't come to that route anymore. But if you're waiting at a bus stop and you know that the buses run here, the day before you came, the buses also came, from other people that the buses work, then you're happy to wait there for, give it an hour, something until the next bus comes, because the bus will come. Same in our Krishna consciousness. That we actually understand that this process works. Then we understand, okay, I do need to be patient. Women may get married and desire a child straight away, but naturally there's a whole biological process. You can't just have a child straight after you're married. 9 months have to follow. And so this patience is a sign of intelligence, it's a sign of faith, it's a sign of knowing that I'm being looked after. So you see how time takes on a different feeling for when one advances in devotional service. But then it gets even more intense. Because then Lord Chaitanya, he's praying in the mood of Srimati Radharani, he's saying, Yugaitam Nimeshena. That the Nimeshena, one tiny little moment, begins to feel like a yuga. An entire millennium, entire age. So time, before for the materialist, time was causing so much pain in so many ways. And then we think, yeah, great, now we become a Vaishnava, we become free from the jurisdictions of time. No more are we bound by the dictates of time, we're engaging in something eternal. But then we learn, Yugaitam Nimeshina, that if you really want to reach the exalted platform, the exalted level of bhakti, then one moment, Nimeshana is going to feel like an entire yuga. Govinda Virahename. The whole world is vacant in your absence. But the difference is that this so-called experience of pain and separation, this is actually extremely, extremely relishable. This is actually the most exalted position of Krishna consciousness, as exemplified by Lord Chaitanya. Srila Sanatana Goswami, he gives a very nice example. You know, if someone has a burning rod and they burn you with it, you will have some blisters, it will feel pain, there's certain symptoms of that burn. But same as someone gets something that's super cold, and they hold it against your skin, the symptoms will actually be almost very, very same. You'll feel heat. It's called a cold burn. But it's completely opposite. And so same when one's experiencing, on this exalted level, is experiencing separation from Krishna, it may seem that they're in agony, that they're in pain. But nonetheless, we understand from our acharyas that this is the topmost worship of Krishna. But yeah, this is far beyond my realization. So, time is ticking, so perhaps if maybe devotees would like to maybe share their realizations from this verse, any comments, any reflections, any corrections, and we can open up, that'd be very good. Yes, Ananta Chuta.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhu. You said there are three things which we can learn from Makara. I think you mentioned only two.
Yeah, I sort of mentioned the third. One is they swim deep in the ocean, meaning that the devotee swims deep in this ocean of bhakti ras. Then they don't appreciate the rivers, and they cannot be caught by the nets of time. These are the three.
No, I didn't get. One is that they cannot be caught.
Not caught by the nets of time. They have no appreciation for the rivers, and they swim deep in the ocean.
Oh.
So I sort of said that one, but yeah. Yes, Aman.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the beautiful class. I was just wondering that, in material sense we say that time is the best healer and everything will heal with time. But in terms of Bhāgavatam and kind of Vedic perspective, we see time as destruction. So, what do you have to say about that?
It destroys pain as well. You have some experience of pain. Everything gets nullified by time. You have the best experience of happiness, you have the worst experience of pain, time will dissolve it all. And you see, everything in the material world, anything is governed by these 6 changes described. There's birth, there's growth, then one remains, then one produces byproducts, one dwindles and one dies. So whether it's your body, whether it's the whole earth, whether it's a building, whether it's, I guess, even some emotion. Everything goes through these stages. So we can also learn to utilize time. That's another point I want to talk actually. Particularly in devotional service, time is there. We may not be completely free from it, but we can utilize it just like we can utilize gravity. Say I'm standing on top of a building and I want to throw something to the bottom of the building. I don't need to apply force. I just drop it and I let gravity do its work. And same with time. We realize time, it can do very, very beneficial things as well. We can utilize it. There's one part I wanted to mention that, in Kali Yuga, we're engaged in yajna, in pleasing the yajna purusha. And in Kali Yuga, the Yagya Purusha is Lord Chaitanya. And he's worshipped by Yagyai Sankirtane Praya, Yajantihi Sumerisha, those who have good brain substance, which is all of you exalted Vaishnavas in this room. You worship the Yagya Purusha by the congregational chanting of the holy names. And to engage in kirtan, it's inherent that we utilize time. Kirtan, from one perspective, has got two factors: raga and tala. We see the melody and the rhythm, the time. So, but here we're seeing, okay, time is Krishna. Karosmi loka. Krishna is time, but we're just as we offer Ganges water to the Ganges, we offer the lamp to the sun. Same, we're offering time to Krishna by this process of kirtan. So there's one nice sort of meditation. I was thinking that this is actually the way by which we become free from the influence of time, is by offering that time to Krishna through the form of Sankirtan. I was deviating from your question a little bit, thank you. Yes, Prabhu.
There's a couple of quotes I wanted to do. It's Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he talks about in time, it is the holy names are eliminated when the holy name is spread around. They live still in time. But the other one is the last verse of prayers of St. Francis of Assisi. It says, "It is in death that we are born again into eternal life." It is. That's another quote that I can think of. Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we utilize the temporary to reach the eternal. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Yes, Kalpesh?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I don't, so it was a very wonderful class, but I don't want to speculate, but just wanted to ask that when Prabhupada is translating Renu into an atom, so obviously he is utilizing the word atom, the closest word resembling, which can describe what Renu is. So here, atom, we can't take it as in scientific point, what we describe an atom. So am I right?
My thoughts is atom is a Greek word, which literally means atomare, meaning it cannot be cut, meaning the smallest indivisible building block of the entire material universe. And that's what's being talked about here, because you understand now that when people first started doing research, they had this theoretical concept of an atom, and then they'd done some research and they worked out, okay, this is the atom. And then they did some more research, oh yeah, hang on a sec, we can break that up. And then, they can break up those parts, they can break up those parts. So they still not found out what's at the very base.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's more a theoretical atom, because the atom we have, the scientists will define that as an atom and then it'll change, so that's my thoughts.
And while listening to a lecture, I also realized that as we have like a standard system of measurement in science or in material world, but scriptures has given its own scales. For example, time has also divided in particular scale, and even sizes is divided in particular scale, which is quite relevant, and it's not as arbitrary, I will say, like a kilogram or a second. Yeah, it is standard for now, but again, in future we don't know. But
see, all distances and measurements there have to be relatable. If someone asks you, how tall are you? Well, I said, I'm 0.007 miles. It's like, doesn't really mean anything. So and so I was listening actually, because Bhāgavatam, if you look across the descriptions of cosmology and measurements in different Vedic texts, and the system that Bhāgavatam uses, there's different systems. Bhāgavatam uses a particular one. And described Bhāgavatam spoken by Shukadeva Goswami particularly for Earth in Kali Yuga. Because Kali Yuga doesn't affect the heavenly planets. It's particularly for this Yuga. Therefore, the references and the measurements are in relation to things on this planet. Even they say a yojana is a distance an army can walk in one day. You know, or even a couple of verses later it describes a danda. A danda is a measurement of time where you fill a pot, a copper pot, and you put a hole in it with a golden weight, and the time for that, the water to fully overflow it. That's one danda. So something you can conceive of, because otherwise everything's just so abstract.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Turn up, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. You are a scientist, kind of. Have you ever seen this hexatom? Or is it like one who reads that will say, oh, all the scriptures are just a bunch of. I'm not sure I've ever seen. And also another question would be like if atom, as far as I remember, is part of the atom are proton, neutron, electron. So there is no concept of what atom is never seen actually. It's all graphical representation in computers. Through the microscope it's not possible to see atom. This like kind of theory. But then how is that thing comes? Proton, neutron, electron, as even smaller particles. How that comes to be.
But here again we discussed this, so you can understand what Prabhupada is referring to as an atom here is different from what a materialistic science, because their atom is made up of many different things. So atom means that. But yeah, I was thinking about this, the hexatom is visible in the sunshine which enters through the holes of a window screen. One can clearly see that the hexatom goes up towards the sky. I did try and look, but it was night time. I started doing my research, so I couldn't.
I mean, when you look, there is something in the air, but like maybe it's dust, or if you look on a clear sky, there is something like moving, like a fluidity. You know, you had experience, but it's optical, maybe just optical illusion. But clearly seen, I'm not sure whether I could clearly see sex.
Yeah, I've got no comments. No. Okay, we can stop here. Thank you very much. Janai Vashpur.
Srila Prabhupada described to Hari Sari Prabhu that 12 years or more, like Prabhupada said, this is called a mini atom, a mini yuga. 12 years is a mini yuga. Prabhupada's explanation.
Mini yuga.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay. Canto Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki, Śrīla Prabhupada ki, Tagore Premanandi.
His Grace Panca Tattva Prabhu ki.
Hare Krishna,